Happy NFL Week 17, everyone. Andy, Corbin, and Jim breaking down the Sunday games from a props and parlays perspective. Good luck if you made the fantasy football championships this weekend. Leave a comment in the comment section. Hit the like button. And as always, if you don't have a comment, code word is new. Obviously, it's almost New Year's. That's where that came from. Jim was brilliant enough to come up with that one.
These things just come to me. They just come to me.
Great work, Jim. Let's double check the weather. I actually normally would think that weather would be much more of an issue this time of year, but it's really not. At the Giants, not too bad. At Jacksonville, scattered showers possible. I would think the Jets and Buffalo is probably the game where we get the most rain, but again, not too cold. So winds only around 10 miles an hour. Tampa Bay, scattered showers. Philly, I always trust Roto Grinders on their weather reports. They're saying dry till after the game. 15-mile-an-hour sustained winds, no big deal there. Cleveland looks like rain, fairly likely, winds around 15. Washington says rain likely, winds could be sustained 15 to 20. That's kind of borderline, a little bit messy, but again, probably not going to panic too much over that. But we'll get to that game and we'll talk about some rushing props that I like. Let us start here with some passing props here, guys. And we're just going to break down the Sunday games. So we're going to go to the Jets and the Bills here. Jim, you obviously have had a really good read on the Jets this year. Do you like either of these quarterbacks, Rodgers or Allen, at these totals?
I think the Rodgers. Here's the thing. I like Rodgers over 200. I don't know if I like 219. He is going to throw the ball. He's within reach of becoming the all-time single-season Jets passer on one of the worst Jets teams ever. Believe it or not. So,
Amazing.
I mean, I have to lean Rodgers over. I don't want to take the Allen over just because I think that team just relies so heavy on the run. We know what they are this year. So, I mean, I'll take the Rodgers over. I really like him to throw over too.
Okay, Corbin, you like either of these quarterbacks?
Yeah, we have Rodgers coming up later, but I like him even at his normal totals. I've mentioned Rodgers for the last, 3 weeks, and he's had 339, 289, and 256 passing yards. Something you guys laughed, but they're definitely building something at the minute. The passing attempts at 33.5, also like that. Again, Rodgers just takes the ball into his own hands. Had 35 pass attempts, 294 yards versus the Bills earlier in the year. They're better against the run than the pass, and the Jets can't run on anyone. So kind of speaks to just keep going with Rodgers. So
even though the weather's a little bit messy, I'm going to lean Rodgers at even money to not throw an interception. I mean, he has one interception in the last 8 games, 3 in a row. So he's obviously found his best friend, Devontae Adams. At even money, I think it's probably worth it. I guess you could convince me that the weather, maybe the ball slips out, but defenders might be slipping and sliding around if it's wet. So I think it kind of cancels it out. Jim, I know you like Bryce Young here against Tampa Bay. Talk it out. What do you like here?
It's a tough thing to say. It's easy to think it. It's a tough thing to let it come out of your mouth. But yeah, I do like Bryce Young. Look, he's gone under in 4 out of 5. Guess who the 5 is that he went over? It's the Bucs for 294. So I think the Bucs are going to open this thing up. I kind of see this game as being a bit of a track meet. Bucs are going for some incentives that we'll talk about. They've been a really high scoring team all year. Coming off that L, I mean, I think they really need to end this on a good note here and really get this offense humming. And the Bucs secondary really was alarming how bad they were against Dallas. That was pretty evident that guys are running free through the secondary unchecked. So I think this number is attainable for Young. I would play it probably up to about 240. I think it's still playable.
Especially now. Yeah, Hubbard's out for the year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been their bell cow. So I understand why they would sit Hubbard for the last couple games. But yeah, I get it. It makes all the sense. It's one of those hold your nose and your bet depends on Bryce Young, but fading bad defenses, man, it just works. Corbin, you like either of these guys?
Yeah, I was. I'm just going to echo what you said. I wasn't on Bryce Young before the Hubbard news, but with the Hubbard news, you just feel like they're gonna have to throw the ball. Like, who's going to be running? Who's left to run for them? And even if I'm sure they have backup running backs, but like the Bucks are so good against the run as well normally that even then they're still going to be having to throw the ball. So yeah, maybe a Bryce. Would I trust him at 230? I probably would alt him down to 200. Just watching him try and get to 230 could be kind of painful. So, but yeah, I share the sentiment. If it's anyone, it's Young. So
We'll take a look at Colts and Giants. DraftKings at the time of recording this only has numbers for Drew Lock. I will tell you, Anthony Richardson's pass attempts is 26.5. I'll take the under all day on that.
Richardson's out. Flacco's in.
Oh, is he really?
Ooh.
He is.
Ooh, okay.
Then that would explain why it came off the board. Corbin, I
Yes.
did not catch that. Great catch.
Flacco season.
Yep.
Yeah, then load up, baby.
I
They
didn't
don't
know either. This Giant secondary. Ooh,
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah. I see no props on there. This must have just happened. All right, exciting stuff. Drew Lock, you do anything with Drew Lock, Corbin?
No, the Flacco's the only thing that I'm going to do anything with. It will be pass attempts when it comes out, and we'll get to the receivers. But there's quite a clear one or two that I'll target there. Nothing for Lock, no.
All right, well, let's jump to the Cowboys and the Eagles. Check social media and stuff. I'll put some stuff out on Twitter if we got some if Flacco props come out Sunday morning, and we'll have some for there. Kenny Pickett 175.5. Man, Corbin, this seems low.
Oh, I'm all over this. This is criminally low for someone like you see some of the quarterbacks that we've had this year, and they've had higher totals and they're worse. Like Pickett's not great, but he's not this bad, I don't think. He had 143 last week versus the Commanders, but they're the fourth best versus the pass. Obviously, he came in on no preparation, and now they get the Cowboys, who are 22nd versus the pass. Slightly worried they're going to have more of a rushing attack because we know how the Cowboys are against the run. But I still think even if they do that, I still think he could easily go over 175. So
I'm with you. Boy, that's crazy. I just Googled Joe Flacco 11 minutes ago. Yeah, Joe Flacco out. Corbin, you're on it. Breaking news.
I am.
Jim, you like either of these guys? Cooper Rush, Kenny Pickett?
I agree the number's super low on Kenny. Here's the thing with the Dallas defense. Since Deron Bland has come back, the secondary has played better. Now, is that enough to keep Kenny under 175? I don't know. I really don't know. Deron Bland is clearly the best cornerback defensive back on that team. You can talk all you want about Diggs, but he gives a big play left and right. Bland is a different kind of player. He's consistent. So Philly probably just has too many weapons. I could see Kenny going over. It's just such a low number. Like, anybody at 175, you almost got to set and forget. Nobody knows.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do either of you have an opinion on the rush under? Like with no CD Lamb, I'm sat here asking who he's going to pass to. I have an interesting question for you guys. If I said for the Cowboys, who do you think are their? Give me their top three. Who's most likely to get a touchdown based on the odds?
Rico Dowdle would get a touchdown.
Okay, so Dowdle's number one. Who else is there?
I would pick Ferguson.
Ferguson would be a big target. Brandon.
Okay, I'm going to tell you their second favorite for a touchdown is their defense.
No, it's not.
It is. Or at least when I was writing this, their defense was plus 350, and that like Ferguson and all of that was at least plus 400, 450. And I was
that's
like,
wild.
That kind of says something here.
Yeah, it does. It makes sense. I expect a heavy rush attack from Philly, obviously, but it's still just crazy. With the weapons that Philly has in the passing game, I mean, Kenny Pickett can get over that one. I mean, surely we're not putting up a 5% play on these guys. Aiden O'Connell and Spencer Rattler. Jim? No. This is awful.
And
Corbin?
Spencer Rattler could have the worst game ever, but you can't. Like, do you just bet unders across the board with this guy?
I mean, can you just think about this? At the beginning of the year, if we'd have been like, hey, Aiden O'Connell, Spencer Rattler, then Mason Rudolph, Mac Jones matchups. I mean, just wild. So I will pass. You guys want anything to do with any of these four quarterbacks?
I think Mason Rudolph will have a good game, but there's a receiver I would rather target for that than him himself. But I reckon Rudolph could have a good game versus the Jags.
Okay, fair enough.
Mac Jones to throw a pick.
Okay,
Jones to-
that's a good.
I
Yeah.
love it. It always starts off. Andy's like, we can't do anything with these guys, and then Jim always pipes out, "Oh, we can just do
We
the
can.
interception again."
That's true. Minus
Just only does it every
175
game.
for Rudolph, minus 145 for Mac. That's interesting that Mason Rudolph is
Yeah,
30
I
a
think
30
that's-
set difference. Because
Well, he's coming off a 3-pick game. I get it, but now he's playing the Jaguars. Like
it's the
that's-
Titans so much better
yeah.
in the secondary. So Packers and Vikings. Corbin, your guy Jordan Love's been really good at not throwing interceptions recently. He went like 4 games in a row where he threw one. Now he's gone several in a row without throwing one. I don't know. This could be a pretty close game. The spread suggests it's going to be a game. It's one of the most watchable games this weekend. I kind of do like his under, though. I like the way he's been protecting the ball. Josh Jacobs looks fantastic. So, what do you think about Jordan Love and Sam Darnold?
We'll come to it later, but I quite like Love on just his attempts, completions, and yards. I like all of it this week. So versus the Vikings earlier in the year, he had 32 completions on 54 attempts for 389 yards. Now, I believe that was the game that he came back from that injury that he got in Brazil in week 1. So if I remember correctly, he started really slow and we got down to quite a big loss, and then he kind of pulled it back to in the second half. But the Vikings are the 3rd worst versus the pass, and I think they are the best actually against the rush. I think we're going to have to air it out. I think we're going to try and run the ball at the start, but I think it's going to be a Love attempts kind of day. So
what do you think, Jim? Sam Darnold, Jordan Love? Anything you're
division
itching to
game
bet?
late in the season, playoff implications, too much on the line. I'm not touching this game.
Okay, fair enough. We move to the night game. Falcons and the Commanders. I do like Jaden Daniels to throw 1.5. He's been pretty good. He's been throwing quite a few touchdowns coming off the huge game. This Commanders team, their defense just kind of feels like it's falling apart a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to actually bet it, but if I'm playing either of these quarterbacks, it's Jaden Daniels to throw 2. What do you think, Corbin?
I'm going to pass on this game for the most part. I have no passing props.
Jim?
This is one of my more favorite spots to play. A new quarterback comes in, has a decent week, and then you have film on them. I will take Michael Penix to throw an interception.
Okay.
Whether the
Like
defense or not, it's a week of film. NFL defenses, NFL coaches, they're in the NFL for a reason. This is different than college. Once they get film on you, that rookie trouble starts showing up. So, yeah, I'll play that. I'll probably play Penix to throw a pick to close out the year here.
I like it. Let's move on to the receiving props, and we will go with the Jets and the Bills. Corbin, do you like any of these particular receivers?
No, I don't. For the Jets, I say it every week. I just wrap it up and go for Rodgers instead of trying to work out bits and pieces of that, and then I'm done playing Bills offensive props. So
no Devontae Adams. I'm pretty surprised there. Jim, do you like any of these?
I like a couple actually on the Bills side. So right where we're at, where our receptions, you can go back down there.
Receptions?
Receptions. So we got James Cook at 1.5 receptions. Right, not a great number, minus 150, but dear God, just play him. This guy all season, just play him. If it's under 3 receptions, play it. Dawson Knox got a real good amount of run here with Kincaid out. Him and Kincaid are both plus money over their receptions total. Jets are bad against tight ends. We just are. The linebacking core is decimated. We still have no CJ Mosley. We don't have a linebacker that can cover those short dump offs. Now, whether or not they're going to have to use the tight ends, that's what's kept me off. But the fact that they're both plus money, I think you probably hit at least one of them. One of them is going to have a day. So those 3 I love. I like the Cook over 1.5 more so than anything.
I love Dawson Knox as my favorite play this week.
Great.
Over
Love
9.5. Listen, he's gone for 22, 42, and 40 in the last 3 games with Kincaid in there. It's almost like they take some attention off of it. He's flown over this total in 5 out of the last 6 games. And like you said, Jim, this is a recipe for tight ends to have a really, really good game. You know, James Cook it's his offense. We know about Josh Allen, but if you're the Bills and you're kind of wanting to get Josh Allen some points for the MVP race, it's down to a 2-man race. I think he throws the ball a little bit, and I think Dawson Knox just needs one catch to get over that. Here's the other thing. Here's his longest catches: 13, 23, 39, 24, 34. He had a game against LA where he only had 5, but he's getting there with one catch. So this is one of those plays where you could absolutely just have one catch for 15 yards and bang, cash it. So
I have one more in this game.
yes.
And this is our guy. I talked about this guy at the beginning of the year, Jeremy Ruckert, again. Okay, 6.5 goes over last week. 2 catches. The catches are ugly. They're when a play's busted and he's just standing there, but he's getting 2 to 3 targets a game. So they are using Tyler Conklin more as a downfield back, but Ruckert has become like that dump off. The play's busted, just Rodgers get it out of his hands. I don't think Rodgers is going to be very interested in taking many hits. I feel like he will be under pressure. So I think this is a tight end game, man. I think you nailed it with Knox. This is a tight end game.
All right, we move on to the Colts and the Giants. We'll just wait and see what the numbers are on the Colts receivers. Corbin, you like any of these Giants like neighbors against the Colts?
No, it's very hard. I want to because it's against the Colts, and I love playing props against the Colts. I can't do it this week. I will say we have to wait for the number, but Downs is the one you want to watch for with Flacco at quarterback for the Colts. So.
Jim, Tyrone Tracy?
Same, I'm waiting. No, I don't want any part of Tracy. I can't buy into the Drew Lock experience. No, I can't.
Moving on to the Panthers and the Buccaneers. Mike Evans is a guy that is probably going to be talked about the most with incentives. He needs 190 some odd yards. He needs 13 catches, and he needs at least one. I think it's 2 touchdowns. Anyway, Baker's talked about this more than Mike Evans has. And Baker really wants to get Mike Evans. Panthers, yeah, this would be a really, really good team to eat up some stats. I think you could kind of go a route where you take Mike Evans over his receptions and over his yards and his anytime touchdown, and he could cash all 3 this week. If not, maybe 2. So maybe put a unit on all of them and see where that gets you. Other than that, a lot of these other guys are really tough. I do like what Jalen McMillan has done, but I just think in the fourth quarter, if Mike Evans is sitting there on 70 yards, he's going to get peppered with targets. Jim, I'm guessing we're all in on the Evans bandwagon.
Yeah, we're lockstep on this. I got nothing else other than what you said in this game.
Corbin?
I don't have anything. I was looking at the Panthers receivers, but there's now. See, I like Jalen Coker, but now he's come back. There's almost too many options. It's the same as like the Jets fever. There's just so many options. They're all capable guys, and now there's just too many options. If you're gonna pick one, you just go for Bryce Young. So nothing.
Cowboys and the Eagles. Again, this is just a tough one to figure out. I think you're better off looking elsewhere. What do you think, Corbin?
Agreed. I can't pick who Pickett's going to potentially throw to, and without CD Lamb, they only have to zero in on like Ferguson and Cooks, and that's basically it for the passing attack. So, yeah, nothing from me.
What do you think, Jim?
Calcaterra.
I thought about him.
Great call. Kenny Pickett loved throwing a Pat Freiermuth in Pittsburgh. It was long bomb to Pickens and underneath the Freiermuth. And with Goddard being out, also, again, another one of Jim's favorite theories is a backup quarterback thrown to a backup player. And Calcaterra is not a start. He's not the starter. He's the starter now, but he's the second tight end. So these guys should have a good rapport together. 16.5, really low number. Probably get there in 1 catch, maybe 2. So that's where I like it. I can't ever pick between Brown and Smith. I get it wrong every time. Every time.
I will just say I was wondering who Pickett threw to last week. If I told you that it was literally 97 yards to AJ Brown, 51 to Smith, and 6 to Gainwell, and that was it. That kind of shows I'd be worried going anywhere with that. Even Barkley got no receptions last week. So.
Yeah, he wasn't ready to play, so it's just like, hey, throw it to the big guy.
Yeah,
throw it to A.J. Brown, or throw it to Devontae Smith, who's running wide open in the secondary.
Just don't throw it to the other team.
Yeah,
pick whatever you want.
Yes, yeah. Raiders and the Saints. disgusting game of props here. Brock Bowers at 71.5, who's having one of the greatest seasons of a tight, and the fact that he's doing it with Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell is really amazing. So 71.5 though, it's the Saints. I think if anything, you're looking over. I would also might look at Alexander Mattison over 11.5. He's caught a few passes in this game. Can't imagine these are two defenses that are that excited about putting on a show. Corbin, you like any of these guys?
Nothing.
Jim,
give me all the Brock Bowers. There is on both sides of the field. There is one thing to play for in this game between both teams, and that is getting Brock Bowers this record. Nobody gives a crap about anything else. The players don't. The coaches are just waiting for their pink slips. It's Brock Bowers. So give me Brock Bowers over his yards. Give me over his receptions. Give me him to score a touchdown. It's Brock Bowers week.
Titans and the Jaguars. Corbin?
Yes. One of my favorite props is in this game. Okonkwo over 38.5. He has been on fire the last few weeks. He had 17 receptions the last 2 weeks, going for 81 and 59 yards. I mentioned I like Rudolph to do well, but for Rudolph to get to the total that he had, I think Okonkwo is going to have to go over. The Jags' pass defense is really bad. I think they're lost by some way, actually. I think Okonkwo is going to have a field day. He's one that I may look to even ladder up to 50-plus yards, quite honestly. It might be my favorite play on the board.
They're 23rd defending tight ends. They give up over 58 yards per game to tight ends. So I think you're dead on with that one. I had to bring up Brenton Strange here, and I had to bring up his receptions, mainly because he's had 36 receptions the entire year. Yet inexplicably, 11 of them were against your Jets, Jim.
Jets can't cover tight ends.
I think he's technically listed as a wide receiver, but you look at his receptions; it's 3.5 this week. So he's had like 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 0, 11, 0, 5, 0. It's
like it's the Michael Mayer, just more numbers.
It really is. Yeah, his receiving total is 27.5. He's had 73, 59, and 65, and then he's easily gone over or under in every single game. I guess no pun intended, but it is strange. It's very, very. The stats are very, very strange in this one. Corbin, we got bit by ETN on his receptions. Do you want to go back to him?
I hadn't really. I'm not gonna lie, I hadn't thought about it.
I mean, it's 2.5 minus 115.
Probably not, quite honestly. How he didn't get to 3 receptions though last week, I will never know.
Well, I'll tell you exactly how. On one of their last plays, they brought in the other running back, and he caught that pass. Instead of ETN being out there. So, all right, we move on to the Packers and the Vikings. Corbin, do you like any? Again, your Packers. Impossible to figure out.
It's another one you just hate love, especially. I can't remember the injury report that I last read, but Watson was having quite a few injuries at the end of last game. I don't.
He's not even listed.
Reed is going to be the one, quite honestly. The 53.5 makes a lot of sense in my head. I think we're going to have to throw the ball. Dobbs, I still can't get behind Dobbs. Kraft has had a good couple of weeks as well. Reed and Kraft are the two that I would look at. So I'm also quite interested in a Justin Jefferson under. He has these games where he just doesn't perform versus us, particularly when Jair Alexander covers him. He's had a mixed year. If I was looking at an under, it'd be him. So,
Jim,
I was thinking Tucker Kraft as well. I really don't. I was hoping for a little bit lower of a number. 35 seems a little sketchy to me. I'd like it in the low 30s, high 20s. He's kind of like the spark plug, isn't he, Corbin? Of this offense, he's the emotional rah-rah. When he catches the ball, the crowd goes nuts. He just has this vibe, almost like a Kittle. He catches the ball and
it's very interesting. There was one pass that I distinctively remember. I think it was Watson was running through. He was wide open deep, and they still threw it underneath to Kraft for a good 15, 20 yards. So, yeah, I mean, he likes going to him. The one slight worry is that Luke Musgrave, I don't know if you guys remember him. He was our tight end to start the year. He actually came back last week. He only played handful of snaps, but I wonder if they up his usage, and if so, does that take anything away from Kraft? I would assume not, but it's a tiny little concern with that. So,
Yeah, I think it's lined correctly, so that'd be enough for me to stay off, knowing there's another guy in the mix.
yeah.
It's juicy, minus 185, but Jalen Naylor to have at least one reception. He's gone over in 12 out of 15 games. And you're right, Corbin. If they give a ton of attention to Justin Jefferson, it just opens up some of these secondary guys to catch one. So that one kind of spoke to me a little bit. Falcons and the Commanders. I think this is a rushing game, so I have no opinion on this, Jim.
Well, Jaden Daniels should have all day and next week and half a year to throw the ball. So, do we buy into the narrative? Do we go with the Zach Ertz 3.5 receptions?
So this is one of the incentives. Zach Ertz needs 50 some odd yards, a touchdown, and like 5 or 6 catches to reach his. So yeah, the thing is we got 2 weeks though. So it's like, what if they come in just a little bit short this week? And I don't know if it's a rookie quarterback. Does he know? Does he concentrate on it? Like Baker and Brady are famous for doing this, but they're veterans. They've been around for a while.
Well, I can guarantee you Ertz let him know.
That's a great point.
Ertz let him know.
That's a great
listen. Point. I know it's your first year in the league, kid, but I got $3 million riding on this game.
Yeah.
Let's see. I like the receptions, not so much the yards. I think if he gets the yards, he needs the receptions.
Yeah, 33.5. Yeah, if he gets 4 catches, he's going over.
Like he probably needs 4 to get to the 33. Anytime touchdown could be interesting. We'll see what that line is, but I'm not a huge fan of going crazy with them.
Yeah. And just to let you guys know, we're recording this on Saturday. The Dolphins props are all off the board because Tua just got downgraded to doubtful. Team total Miami under. They're looking at Tyler.
Pray for Huntley.
Huntley. Yeah, exactly. So, all right, let's move on to rushing props here real quick. But just to let you guys know, we got some really good promos up at WagerTalk. Biggest one going on right now is you can use the promo code HOLIDAY25. Gets 25% off any package. I highly recommend using this on like long term. Like don't use it on just like one like play. Get 7 days. Get yourself 30 days. We're finishing 2024, and we're going to be able to clear that 100-unit mark easily that we aimed for at the beginning of the year. We're still number 1 the last 2 years. All these bets that we give out to clients, we play with our own money and fully transparent. Our record is available always. Anytime you want to ask, just let us know. And let's see, our record for since January 1st, 2023. Up 210 units with few parlays pending. And 2024, we're up 115.53 units, 5.2% ROI. So we're closing out 2024. Really, really proud. Jump on board. In January, man, it gets busy.
Get ready.
UFC starts, golf starts the second day of January. We've got NBA, NHL. We're on an 18-6 NHL run. So first of the year, things not only.
You've forgotten the most important sport.
With darts?
No, tennis. Tennis is back.
Yes.
It's 2 weeks into January, isn't it?
The tournaments have already started. So
the first major is
yes.
First major, but
it's
Corbin is
January, I think.
That's true.
So.
We're cashing tennis bets. You're 100% right. Corbin,
we're all back in January. Like all of us are going to be busy.
Actually, this is good. So Corbin, let everyone know the tennis schedule to get ready and what clients can expect.
Okay, so I can't remember the exact date of the Australian Open. I think it's either the 2nd or the 3rd week of January, I want to say. So basically, you start off with they've all come back from their breaks, and they're playing either what's called the United Cup, which is what's going on at the minute. It's a team sport, but they're all playing basically their best because they're trying to build up for these tournaments. Some are using this as their only preparation for the Australian Open. There's certain spots where you can get players that have been playing throughout the off season, so in November and December, and they didn't even stop, and some haven't played for months. So right at the start, you can pick off some of these. You can see who's hot and who's ready and this is their first match in 6 months for some of them. So
Nice.
yeah,
Corbin's number one in tennis by far. Lifetime, last 365, last year, like whatever you name it.
you want to
Tennis
read
is
them all off?
no. This is a football show. Let's get back. Let's get back to football. But the first golf tournament of the year is January 2nd, so we just jump right back in to all of our favorite sports and UFC. First event is January 11th. So take advantage of that, guys. Don't be missing out on any of these profits. We've been building bankrolls for years, so take advantage of that over at WagerTalk.com. All right, let's talk rushing props. Jim, do you want to talk James Cook or Brees Hall?
I'll take James Cook.
Go for it.
James Cook. Just play his rushing and receiving. There you go, Andy. On to you.
Okay.
I mean, like I feel like I'm getting repetitive at some point, but again, the offense runs through James Cook. It just does. So 81.5 against this defense. Yes, please. All right. James Cook, anytime touchdown. Yes, please.
That was anytime touchdown. Absolutely on James Cook.
Him and Allen are so close. And it's great to see a quarterback be just as excited for his running back to score as he is padding his own stats. They're like best buddies. So love the 81.5. It's right on par where it's playable. I don't think you take it if it's in the 90s, but usually when it's 81, he's looking at like 110, 115 that comes through.
Yeah, Brees Hall, I think you could pick rushing and receiving. I think you could pick rushing. Against Buffalo, he had 169 rushing and receiving, and he had 113 rushing. He just blown over this. And like I say, my eye test is whenever I watch the Buffalo Bills, if ever there's a competent running back on the other side, they're just running throughout the middle of the field. They're just constantly breaking through the line into the secondary. So I've loved fading this Bills rush defense. You've seen him get involved in some massive, massive shootouts. And I don't know if this is going to be a massive shootout, but I just know both teams are going to be able to move the ball. And especially if it's a little rainy. Oh, man. If it's wet, this is going to be a field day for these guys. Ray Davis. Are we? No, we off the Ray Davis train?
Not yet.
Bit? Okay.
I don't think yet. Ray Davis we'll have something for Ray Davis in the future, but hey, look, honestly, that's a live bet. Like if it's a blowout, yes, Ray Davis.
Okay.
Right. I think you just got to wait to see. He'll get a little bit of run in the beginning of the game, but they bring him in when they want Cook to take a break in the second half when they're up.
Corbin, you like any of these rushing props?
I'm going to take Josh Allen to have a rushing touchdown. I've mentioned it before. He wants the limelight. He's going for the MVP. He's another one that I think just wants it all about himself. He had one in the head-to-head earlier in the year.
Blows my mind.
Jets defense stinks. He's going to run it in and start dancing around and make sure people are watching him. So
I really need to know where this. We're gonna have to have a talk, Corbin. I gotta know where these feelings.
It's all about Josh Allen. This is one of your better takes, Corbin. The Jets planning for the future and Josh Allen being all about himself are two of your best takes this NFL season. So, Colts and Giants. They have the Colts lines off the board. I guess it makes sense with Flacco in there. But do you want any rushing props for the Giants there, Jim?
No.
Corbin?
Nope.
Panthers and Buccaneers. I have no idea what to make of. They don't even have a running back rushing prop out for Carolina on DraftKings at the time of recording this. And I guess it's Bucky Irving, but man, Corbin, 84.5 is a ton, isn't that?
I wrote that I kind of like it at 81.5, and I only wrote this like an hour and a half ago. So like for it to jump 3 yards already is quite a lot. If I was going to play anything, I'd play his alts. He had 68 versus the Cowboys last week, which kind of scares me, but because the Cowboys suck versus the run, I would expect higher than 68 if I'm trying to get an 84 total here, but they were down in that game, obviously. Before that, 117, 152, 88, and 73. Panthers are not actually that bad versus the pass. When I've watched them in the past, they're ranked 11th. Now, obviously, I don't think they're the 11th best versus the pass, but that's where they rank. I think it might actually be a closer game. I think they're going to attack them more on the ground. So, Bucky Irving alt of kind of like the 60 range in my head sounds good. So,
all right. Jim, you like either of these guys?
No, you nailed it, man. I would love to play Bucky Irvin, but I can't play him at 84.5.
Oh,
I just can't.
I completely.
You'd
I
never
completely.
vault him.
Before you move on, I forgot I like both quarterbacks to go over their rushing as well. Baker's I think is 15.5. He's had 42, 25, and 12. The problem that I have with that is he's only really scrambling 2 or 3 times a game recently. I'm not sure if there's a longest rush, but if it's anything like 10 or below for a longest, I would look at that for Baker. And then Young I had it over 17.5. So again, that's come down to 15.5. I think there's going to be plays where he's going to have to run because he's got no other option. The Bucks are awful versus the pass, so I don't know how much he's going to need to scramble. No Chuba Hubbard, as we mentioned, but he had 68 rushing yards last week, 12, 29, 17, 20, 30 the weeks before. So he's been going over this number. If I had to pick one, I quite like that Young over 15.5. So
112 yards for Saquon Barkley. 112 yards for Saquon Barkley, and yet I am not
Seems
taking
low.
the under. Yeah, I'm not taking the under on that one. This is another one, Jim, where they want to get him the title, don't they?
It's a lot of yards, man. It's a lot of yards to get this. What does he need? 260?
He needs he needs 2 monster games.
Yeah, So he needs like $135 a game here, I believe, to be in striking distance. I'm still not taking the under.
Yeah.
Now here's I got something a little wacky to think about here. Regardless of what you feel about the Eagles coach, isn't it such an Eagles thing for them to get down on the goal line and still run the tush push with Kenny Pickett?
That thought actually crossed my mind that like get Barkley the yards, but don't send him into the pile when you're on the 1 yard line. Like, who cares about touchdowns for Barkley at this point? I had that exact
Isn't
same
it weird?
thought.
It's such a Sirianni thing. Like, we can do this no matter who we have. This is my
until
design.
He fumbles the ball on the 1. And,
yeah,
and then they realize how good Jalen Hurts is.
I'm going to take a serious look at Kenny Pickett anytime touchdown because Philly's not going to change their mold here. I don't think they're not going to run a tush push because it's Kenny Pickett instead of Jalen Hurts.
I love that take. I'm with you 100%. Corbin, do you like any of these rushing props?
I'm going to slightly just piggyback off what you were saying. I had Kenny Pickett over 13.5, but if they have a rush attempts line for Kenny Pickett, I would be very interested in that, considering I think they're going to win. He had 3 rushes for 13 yards last week. We've mentioned the Cowboys can't defend the run. I think they're going to be up quite considerably. I could see Pickett scrambling for some yards, but if they have a rush attempts line, I'd be way more interested in that. I'm also waiting to see if a Gainwell rushing line comes out, because again, I think they're going to be up and take some of it off Barkley. So, yeah.
So Kenny Pickett is at 4.5. Don't forget kneel downs count.
Exactly.
If you think
that's
Philly's going to be up
with.
At the end, I could absolutely see him getting 2 or 3. There's another guy that we get to later that the kneel downs kind of bring a line into play. Raiders at the Saints. Corbin, you want anything to do with you?
Nope.
Jim?
Nope.
Titans and Jaguars?
Yes. I love they've just bumped it up on DraftKings, but you can still get this somewhere else. Mac Jones over 2.5 rushing attempts.
Yeah,
he's
just
gone over in
plus 130. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he's gone over in 3 of the last 4, and the Titans' pass defense is good. So I'm expecting a couple where he's trying to pass and then can't find anyone downfield and takes off. I would play it at 2.5, would not play it at 3.5, so I'd shop around. But that is one that I will probably play myself. So.
Let's see. What is his rushing yards? I mean, he had none against the Raiders, but 29 against the Jets. So yeah, he can absolutely scramble. The 7.5 is interesting. So, Jim, you like any of these?
No, you guys covered it.
I maybe wait on. I mean, I'm pretty sure Pollard is out. I don't have it right in front of me, so I don't want to say, but I'm like 99% sure. I don't know. Spears at 59.5. When he's the main guy against Jacksonville, I don't know. Then you're just betting on Spears, and that's terrifying. Packers and the Vikings. Jim, coming to you. You like any of these rushing props?
0. Not looking at rushing in this game.
Yeah, I've got Aaron Jones coming up, but I like him at his normal numbers of 15.5 rush attempts and 64 and a half yards. Versus us earlier in the season, 22 rushes for 93 yards. Now they were up in that game. I don't quite expect him to run the ball that many times, but I've mentioned we can't run the ball. We can't defend the run even. Then you look at the wide receiver threats and Addison, Jefferson, and Hawkinson. I feel like we're just going to concentrate on them, and what Aaron Jones does is what Aaron Jones can do, basically. Revenge game. He's gone over his yards in the last 3 weeks with 67, 86, and 73. Yeah, my one concern is the game script because I think we could have some success, but I still think they run the ball enough to get him over this total. So.
Moving on to the Falcons and the Commanders, I will tell you I like Penix under his rush attempts and his rushing yards. I'm not really sure where they're getting this number. I mean, what do he have? 4 rush attempts, but I went and looked. Those were kneels at the end. He had a couple kneels at the end. I'm not sure they're going to be up in this game. Certainly didn't get over this total last week. This seems like
he had 3 last week.
Yeah,
it's interesting because I don't know if you remember, his line was actually 7.5, and he got 3, so he went under, and now they've bumped it up by. That's like 5 yards on a low total already. I doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
It's like they know something. Like
exactly.
Take the over. Makes no sense. Take the over. So, Corbin, you like anything else in this one?
No, it's a pass.
Jim?
Nope.
I gotta bring up if this game is a little bit mucky. Tyler Algier, I see it on some other websites, is 6.5, and he's been going over that one. I'm wondering if Bijan Robinson goes over his attempts and Tyler Algier goes over attempts if they just don't want to put Penix in a spot to lose. So just a few thoughts there.
Before we move on, I have one field goal for this week. It's off the board because it's the Dolphins. It's Sanders over 1.5 field goals. I don't expect it to change particularly. They don't normally move the field goal props at all in these kind of situations. Browns are middle of the pack with red zone defense, and he's gone over in 12 of the last 13. Whoever's at quarterback, I think, could end up having a close game, especially if there's no Tua. It'll be Huntley. I can't imagine them having great red zone success. So yeah, over 1.5 field goals for Sanders for the Dolphins is the one that I'm looking at this week.
Yeah, there's some interesting looks in some of the PATs. If you think a team is going to score a couple touchdowns, you could talk yourself into some, like Brandon Aubrey at plus money to get 2 touchdowns. Like Philly they gave up 22 points in the 4th quarter in that game. So there's a couple of different kicking props that we like. So, all right, Corbin, let's talk about some alt plays. Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones. Talk us through this one.
Yeah, so I already mentioned I like all of the. Basically, my alts are all stuff that I liked at their normal numbers, and this just gives me some like wiggle room, basically. So the first part is Rodgers to throw for 175 plus yards and 1 passing touchdown. He's gone over the yards in all but one game, of the last 16. He's had over 175 yards. All but 2 games he's had at least 1 passing touchdown against the Bills earlier in the year, 294 yards and 2 passing touchdowns. I think he could have equal success. The Bills defense is not very good, and I've already mentioned Rodgers to death these last few weeks. I think he's just going to keep rolling, basically. And then Aaron Jones 40 plus. So I mentioned again, I like him. I think it was 64.5. He's gone over in 8 of the last 10, and one of those he was just 1 yard short. Our run defense is shocking, quite honestly. Revenge game, 93 in the game earlier in the year. I think no matter what happens in the game script, he can get to 40 rushing yards. So I'm going to wrap both of those up for minus 142. And then the next one is Jordan Love to throw for 200 plus. He's only gone under in 3 games this year, and 2 of those were huge wins where I think he only just came under as well with like 180 something and 190 something. The Vikings are not good versus the pass. He had 389 even after the slow start in the head-to-head earlier in the season. I think Love's going to have quite a big day passing the ball. And then it's Eagles minus 2.5. I don't understand why this isn't juicier, quite honestly. The Cowboys are awful. I don't think Pickett looked that bad. Even if they just have a running attack, I think they're going to run all over the Cowboys. Eagles are still playing for something. I don't know what the Cowboys are doing at this point. Eagles beat them 34-6 at the Cowboys earlier in the season, and now they have no CD Lamb. So I'm not sure where their offense is particularly coming from against a pretty good Eagles defense. So I'm going to take them -2.5 and wrap that up from -152.
I love that one.
Mhm.
I love that one. That's probably going to be a client play. In fact, I demand it to be a client play. I really like that one. That's good work. That's good work by you, Corbin. So,
Thank you.
all right, guys, that's going to do it for us. Don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment in the comment section, and as always, good luck on all your plays, and we'll see everyone later.
Good luck.
See you guys later.